Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela, and welcome back to Gemini Decan 3. Today is the 10th of June, which starts, it could be the 10th or 11th. It depends on how you look at it. But I am reading from the 36 Decans by T. Susan Chang. And the I've got it separated here. Hold on. I have a lot to read in here. It's pretty cool for this month or this decan. The quote at the top. Each decan has its own label, and it's called famous last words because the card that represents the Gemini Decan 3 is the Ten of Swords. And the Ten of Swords is ruled by, this decan is ruled by the sun in Gemini. And so we have the sun here. And then, of course, the Lover's card, which has been the constant throughout Gemini to represent Gemini. So this is the three cards that we look at in the Decan 3. And I found it interesting because this has keywords here, ending and defeat. I always choose to look at the Ten of Swords as something is dead and gone. You need to move past it. The sun is coming up, a new day is dawning. But with this decan, I kind of got a little deeper into that meaning because when something or someone dies, the world still keeps turning as if nothing happened. It could be affecting you or I in such a way that it shattered our world, but the world keeps turning despite the fact that something horrible has just happened. And I think that, to me, more represents the sun popping up over the horizon, letting you know, yes, something bad has happened, but there is a day, daylight is coming, the day is coming, a new day is coming regardless of, we just have to learn to pick up the pieces and move on and move forward. And I thought that was very interesting. So let me go ahead and read to you. She is amazing. Amazing. Someday I hope to be as good a writer. It's just amazing. So the first thing that popped up on then, and the Ten of Swords is considered the Lord of Ruin and this decan. Well, the Ten of Swords. But it says, kill the twin. As cards of Gemini, let me pull it up here. I have them here. Did I not have them out? Oh. The 8, 9, and 10 of Swords all have something to do with doubleness. But perhaps none more so than the 10. In historical tarot, the Sun card traditionally about twins, though Pamela Coleman Smith chose to depict only one child. The Lovers deals with doubles too. As a card of choice, a man choosing between two women, or Eve choosing the fruit of knowledge with Adam alongside her on the brink or the end of the world as they know it. The world's twin myths often involve the death of mortality of one twin, Cain and Abel, Castor and Pollux, the Oak King and the Holly King. When the twins are sun and moon, as they so often are, only one can reign in the sky at once. So forced choice, taking a side when both cannot coexist, is a core concept in this card. And I thought that was wow, because I didn't know that Gemini was considered the twin card. I will forever not see it now because it's almost like the 8 is that predicament of staying where you are or moving out of it. So is the 9, and so is the 10. It's like there's this choice here, this ultimate choice here. You either kill the twin and survive, or you both die. I found that very interesting. Very interesting. Hazards of mind. When the 9s of any suit represent its culmination, the 10s represent what you might call an oversaturation of the suit's potential. Once the suit come to its logical conclusion or grand finale, it must begin again, which we were just talking about. The sun. The sun will rise again no matter what. Interesting. We think of swords as words, thoughts, and conflicts in tarot. If you add the hyper-rationalism of the sun to the analytical power of swords, you can end up thinking yourself into a corner. The bright sun turns all shades of gray into black and white. This is the argument you took so far that you ended up delivering an ultimatum, throwing the china, driving off in a huff, slamming the door. This is the theological argument that ends up in a schism or even warfare. This is the home of the fanatic, painting in black till he can, painting it black till he can paint no more. If the sun represents the rational and the lovers represents the power of choice, their combination can be kind of over-intellectualized decision process that leads us to disregard our intuition. And I found that fascinating because quite often I abandon intuition for the logical side of things. And I find here that this is, to me, that moment in the Ten of Swords when you're abandoning what you need to follow in your gut and your heart. And it just hit me in a very weird way. It might be the back road shortcut that in theory meant I got to my destination an hour earlier, but in the fact meant I got lost for 3 hours. It could be the ex you called because in theory you both were long over it long ago, but in fact led to an incendiary name-calling free-for-all on the phone. Most Ten of Swords images could be aptly captioned, "It seemed like a good idea at the time." And I found that hilarious because I've had many Ten of Swords moments because it was a good idea at the time. My brain just didn't stop and think about the consequences of those actions. And I found that very, very fitting. It has rained most of the day. I've been in a funk all day. I haven't been able to get out of it. Maybe that's the energy I'm moving into already with this Ten of Swords energy. I just haven't been able to hardly get out of bed, but I came out here today just now and it's already clouding back up. It's not, we haven't seen the sun all day. And it's weird because we have had 90 to 100 degree weather and then all of a sudden today it's like 70 and it feels like it's 20. It's chilly. I'm actually wearing a sweater and it's June. That's ridiculous. Because we don't have chilly in June. There's never a word that would describe June in the Midwest. Crazy. Next, we have Beckett's Grisly End. The prone figure in the Ten of Swords is said to be the martyr Thomas A. Becket, the one-time Archbishop of Canterbury. Becket died at the hands of King Henry's royal henchmen, who, in a very Ten of Swords move, inflicted multiple stab wounds, including a very gory and vividly described blow to the head. The victim's right hand makes the same papal gesture of benediction we see in the Hierophant card. It represents the dual nature of Christ, 2 fingers up, and the triune nature of God, 3 fingers down, or 2 fingers up for what is revealed and 2 down for what is concealed. Or you could say the gesture means as above, so below. Another Hermes Mercury illusion. It gives me very magician vibes in that. Interesting. But this is like when things have gone awry for the magician, is what I see here. The price of knowing. In practice, I find that the 8, 9, and 10 of Swords sequence goes something like this. Frustration. Frustration. anxiety, and collapse. That collapse can take a couple of different forms. It can be the cathartic deep sleep that follows a big ugly cry, where you wake up puffy-eyed and parched but reborn. But it can also be the heavy-limbed depression that makes it impossible to get out of bed. And in practice, I have grown accustomed to seeing the Ten of Swords come up for clients who are suffering clinical level depressive illness. Some have described depression as the affliction of seeing the world as it really is. The weight of knowing too much, of being exposed to the unfiltered brutality of the world, can cause us to give up. And this does feel like a very much like a card of giving up. You've given up. You've been stabbed half to death. You're done. But on the flip side, I have to also always think about, and that's what I thought about in this card for the longest. And then I just had to remind myself, there is a dawn coming. There is a sun coming up over the horizon. It's not the end. And I have to remind myself every time I pull this card. I don't hardly ever pull the Ten of Swords, but when I do, it's like a reminder to let go of something, because I either grabbed onto something that I've already let go and grabbed onto it again, or I have yet to let something go that is dead and buried already. Why are you still holding on to it? And that's the Ten of Swords is my reminder. Hey, the dawn is coming. You're already in the new day. Why are you still holding on to this past that no longer serves you? Powerful when it comes up, because it's crazy. We need the benefit of the doubt represented by the Two of Swords to survive. The intellect, crown jewel of humanity, can be a cruel tyrant when its power goes unchecked. When we receive knowledge in the Garden of Eden, it leads first to shame, the awareness of our own nakedness. The sun makes everything visible, and our expulsion immediately follows. But the idea that knowledge is dangerous can be used for our empowerment as well. Mercury, god of secret knowledge and trash talk, is also the god who gives us the tools to escape traps of our own making. Where will he take us next? The everyday Ten of Swords. While it is not always disastrous, the Ten of Swords often feels heavy to me on days I draw it. Like many other sword cards, it is a harbinger or a headache for me, and occasionally migraines bad enough that I have to go back to bed. Dark themes have arisen in the content I've consumed on Ten of Swords days: a podcast on lynching, an exhibit on American slavery, shows about mental illness, the mortality of robins, the extinction of turtles. And although author Edward Waite insists it is not especially a card of violent death, I drew it the day one of our chickens were slaughtered by a fox. I drew it also on the day of the 2018 March for Our Lives after the Parkland shooting. But there are also benign ways the Ten of Swords can manifest as a signifier of endings. It may accompany the last day of the year, the last day of term, or the end of a project, especially if I'm working with data or words. And for a while in 2019, it kept turning up on days I had acupuncture appointments, revealing a thereto unsuspected sense of humor. So that was her take on when the Ten of Swords comes up, what it means for her. And then the takeaway, according to her: don't panic when you get the Ten of Swords. You're bound to get it sometimes, and chances are it's not as dire as you think. There may well be a somber cast to the day. Embrace closure where possible. Processes that are drawing to their natural conclusion. If you really need a counterweight to its dark murmurings, consider the solutions above. And I didn't read those, but it gives you options for the Ten of Swords versus Two of Cups, Ten of Swords versus Two of Pentacles, yada yada. So I found that interesting. If none of these are on the docket, there's always sympathetic magic. Personally, when I draw the Ten of Swords, I sometimes go to the fabric store and buy 10 sewing machine needles. Sympathetic magic really is a great way of retrieving some sense of agency in the face of cards' sharpness and finality. Deliberately taking a nap in broad daylight is another favorite way of drawing off the spirit. The Ten of Swords inevitably summons decisive acts. Better they should be your own choice than a choice made for you. And to me, that is, if I found when I first started reading tarot, because I didn't want to listen to nothing. If this is coming up, it's because I've been told in less grim ways by the tarot, by spirit, by God, whoever you want to say, that I need to let go of something and walk away from it because I'm holding on and it's not doing me any good. By the time I get this card, I've probably been told the same thing 8-10 times because I'm not listening. So that's another way this specific card pops up for me, is because I'm not paying attention or listening, or I don't want to hear it. And then it comes up, it's like, you're gonna hear it. So, and I found that interesting when she said, better you make the choice than the choice made for you, because if this card pops up, the choice has already been taken out of my hands at that point because I'm not listening. Finally, remember, the last decan of Gemini is a mutable decan of a mutable sign. One thing is for certain, this too shall pass. As Gemini, the Ten of Swords, whose hermetic title is the Lord of Ruin, closes out a cycle. As Gemini tapers to its double forked end, what card comes next? The Two of Cups, Cancer one, or the Lord of Love. And we may conclude as the poet Robert Browning did, that after all, love is best. And I love that, because after this, of course, that's spoiler alert. It is Cancer 1 and 2 of Cups because it's a water sign and blah 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 blah. We'll get into that in 10 more days, but I find that interesting that after this harshness of the Ten of Swords, you got this sweet love coming in, and it's not romantic love. It's a love of self, of love of, licking your wounds and caring for your wounded, kind of, is how I'm choosing to look at it. And I think that's nice that after this harshness is coming in this more loving energy. And then I wanted to read you the poem that she put in here for it's the excerpt from Love Among the Ruins by Robert Browning. When I do come, she will speak not. She will stand with either hand on my shoulder, give her eyes the first embrace of my face. Ere we rush, ere we extinguish sight and speech, each on each. In 1 year they sent 1,000,000 fighters forth, south and north, and they built their gods a brazen pillar high as the sky, yet reserved 1,000 chariots in full force, gold of course. O heart, O blood that freezes, blood that burns, earth's returns, for whole centuries of folly, noise and sin, shut them in with their triumphs and their glories, and the rest, love is best. So I thought that was beautiful. And that concludes Decan 3 of Gemini. So, and I've got all these extra little cards here. Let me see. Flowers. Yeah. Okay, so we got the Sun. And I'm just going to read you these. The Ten of Swords, backstabbing, betrayal, enemies, bitching, bad-mouthing, bitterness, doormat, failure, ruin, collapse, breakdown, exhaustion, inability to cope, curses, rock bottom, hitting a wall, dead end, severing ties, goodbyes, nail in the coffin. The upright meaning, escaping ruin, pulling yourself together, learning from past hardships, fears coming true. And then we have the chakra, which is why I like this deck. I haven't been using it because it's so thick. You can't really shuffle this deck. Not really. I mean, you can, but it's hard. And I don't like these chakras, but we have the root chakra, and it's I have. And then we got, of course, Sun and Cancer, and this is a no card if you didn't know that already. And then we have my legs going to sleep. Hold on. We have the Lover's card, which represents Gemini, and that is the heart chakra. Interesting. Major choices, love, soulmates, temptation, being put to the test, kindred spirits, perfect union, partnership, relationships, romance, desire, sexual connection, shared values. And in the reverse meaning, disharmony, trust issues, imbalance, conflict, disconnect, lack of accountability, disunion, detachment. And then the majors have a affirmation. It says, my personal value system leads me to love. And that's actually kind of cool because we were just talking about Gemini 3 ending this harshness and going into Cancer 1 love. So, yeah, beautiful. And then we have the sun. It is the solar plexus chakra. Positivity, freedom, fun, success, optimism, vitality, joy, confidence, self-expression, good luck, enthusiasm, happiness, truth, openness, pregnancy. And then the opposite, lack of enthusiasm, sadness, unrealistic expectations, ego, conceitedness, oppression, miscarriage, stillborn, or abortion. Interesting. So that is the Decan. I'm going to show you guys some other cards. This is the one I've been using. And it's got the Decans on the side. This is Gemini. The Lover's card that represents Gemini. These are the backs. I don't know if I'll show you the backs of the others. Ten of Swords. And it says third Decan of Gemini here. And then we got the beautiful sun. Gorgeous. And I was going to bring that up in the sun, and it's got the symbols here. Let me see here. Yeah, this has got the Gemini. And then this one has, oh, the Lovers doesn't have it. Huh. It's just got the element and then the Gemini for those. And of course the sun has the sun and the element. I was going to talk about that when I read about it. I found it interesting that in traditional, the original traditional sun card, there's 2 babies. And I actually have a deck recently. I don't remember which deck it is now. I got a deck recently that has, it looks like twin, like mirrors in that deck. And I'm like, why is there 2 babies on 2 horses? And I found that interesting. That was answered pretty quickly when we came across this Decan. That originally there was 2. Pamela Coleman Smith chose to take it out and have just 1 baby. So I found that interesting. And it's interesting because my niece is pregnant. I told, before she ever got pregnant, before she ever got married, I predicted when she would get, that I kept having a dream about her that she would have a baby. She was coming back from a tropical honeymoon and she was pregnant and she was giving birth in the airport. I had a lot of airport dreams. And then before she got pregnant, and then she wound up getting engaged and getting married and went on a tropical honeymoon. And when she came back, she found out she was pregnant. And I just thought that was interesting because I'm like, And then I started having a dream that I was seeing twins everywhere for like a month straight. I was seeing the word twins. I was seeing the baseball team twins, and all blue. And then she found out she's having a girl, and now she is so large. She's only 27. She's very, very large for somebody only having 1 baby. Even my sister-in-law, her mother, thinks that she's carrying twins, and the other one's just hiding. They can't find it. And she thinks it's a boy too. And I'm like, but she's had like DNA stuff done. She's had all this other stuff done where they confirmed it is a girl, but she does not look like she's carrying a girl at all. And she looks like she's carrying more than 1. So she's going to be, and I also, when I did a reading for my sister-in-law, I saw something, and I'm going to pull that card and show you here in a second from the Rosebud Tarot because I can't put it down. I pulled the Ten of Swords in that card, and it looks like a doctor getting ready to do surgery. And I'm like, has she been having any issues or that you know of? You know, because it looks like she may have to have a cesarean. And she was blown away because she's like, yeah, she just found out she has gestational diabetes and all this other stuff going on. And they're going to induce labor on the 20th. And if anything else happens, they're going to take the baby. And I'm like, crazy. That's why this deck is, I can't put it down. But this is the Rosebud Tarot. I love it. Love it. This is not my aesthetic at all, but I love it so hard. So hard. Wait a minute. Oh, and I already pulled these out. So, let's look at these cards. And this one I find interesting because the Lovers card, it looks like twins. Interesting. And then we have the Ten of Air, the Ten of Swords, and then we have the Sun card. And of course the Lovers represents Gemini, which is the twins. So I just found that very interesting. When I was going to, I found that interesting last week when I was using this deck, or the week before. And then when I came into Decan 3, I'm like, that's why. Because Gemini, the Lovers, it represents the twins. So I just found that very interesting and very intriguing. And I cannot put my finger on why I love this deck. But I do. I love it hard. Love it. It could be because I did such an accurate reading with her that I was just like blown away. I almost feel like this is her deck now. And anytime she needs a reading done, that's the deck I'll probably use. Because it's highly accurate for her. Then we have the Journey of the Sacred Bee, which is a Thoth-based deck. But I also love this deck. It's one of my top 10 decks of all time. Here we have the Ten of Swords, and at the bottom you can see the word is ruin, which we figured out in the 36 Deacons. That is he's the Lord of Ruin. And then of course we have the symbols, this Sun and Gemini. And then we have the Sun, and we have the symbol here. And then we have the Lovers, and then we have Gemini here. And I find those cards are stunning as well. Like, I love that deck. And then last but not least, I wanted to show you, because I feel like this is a Gemini deck. It is the Tarot of Mystical Moments. I used it for my spread on the last Decan. We have the Ten of Swords. This is the bags. Ten of Swords. I've been there. I've had that moment. And then we have the Sun and the Lovers. And I just thought that was stunning. And again, this deck, for some reason, after the last, when I started trying to figure out a deck to pull for the last Decan, I'm like, oh yeah. Like, this is a total Gemini deck. I don't know why I feel that way, but it's more to do with air anyway. And I think that's why, because a lot of this deck feels very airy. And then I wanted to show you the comparison between the 8, 9, and 10 in this deck. It's just, and there's the 8, the 9, and the 10. And it's just stunning. Stunning. And I really do get that feeling in this deck of the 8, 9, and 10 is the transition or the projection of getting to the death of the twin and the 10. I don't know why. I just feel that. So that's all the cards I wanted to show you and everything I wanted to read you. So I am done with Decan 3, Gemini Decan 3, because while I didn't relate to it in the sense that it didn't really affect me, well, it is affecting me because we're just starting it. My brain is fried today. I'm just having a very hermit day today. needing some major downtime. I didn't really resonate with Decan 2. I didn't really resonate with Decan 1. I mean, I did because of the Eight of Swords, and I've always had a thing for the Eight of Swords. I do feel very connected in the card-wise. The energy of Gemini, or the Sun, or the Mars or Mercury or whatever they were, I don't have that same feeling of connection like I did with the previous 2 Decans. With Taurus, whatever energy was coming in, for whatever planet was coming in that Decan, I could feel it shifting. I haven't felt that way this Decan, and maybe the dreary day and the not being able to get out of bed today is my sign of Decan 3 coming, because it starts today. I'm choosing to have it start today, the 10th of June, and I didn't actually say when it ends. Let me pull the book back out. So it's the Sun in Gemini, the 10 of Swords. It starts June 10th or 11th. Today's the 10th. And ends June 20th or 21st. And it's funny because my anniversary is 2 days after the 21st. So my anniversary will be on Cancer 1. And then my husband's birthday is, I think, Decan 2 at Cancer. Let's see. Yeah, he's on the cusp. He's either Cancer 2 or 3. Depends on what day you start. Interesting. Because I am on the cusp as well. I did a deeper dive into mine, and mine's Virgo. So my birthday is the 2nd, and it literally will end either the 1st or the 2nd, and then the 2nd or 3rd it starts. So with the next Decan. So I found that interesting that we're both on the cusp, that I feel like we could be either one or both Decans. So we'll get there when we get there. But if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos, and y'all have a good night. Bye.